This is Matthew Cratter from Trade University, and today I have some news about Gemini Earn. If you're holding assets over at Gemini, trying to earn a yield on them, you're definitely going to want to watch this video all the way to the end. Gemini Earn, as I said, is a lending platform where you can deposit crypto assets, cryptocurrencies, and earn interest on them. Here's the website, which I'll link to in the description notes below. Now, I've been talking about a lot of these companies over the past year or so. Here's a video I made in February of 2021 in which I concluded that BlockFi, Celsius, and Gemini Earn were all three not safe. For the reasons, as I said in the description notes over here, I place a special focus on the commingling of assets, insurance coverage, and counterparty risks for these accounts. There's also the risk of having one's account frozen by any of these corporations. And as a result of this, I chose not to store any of my Bitcoin in any of these places and instead decided to forego any possible yield because I was worried about losing the actual principal itself. I made a more recent video right before Celsius imploded, so this turned out to be true. I also made a recent video about BlockFi about a week before it imploded. It's looking now like BlockFi may be sold for basically zero. It was last valued at $3 billion. They were trying to raise money at a valuation of $1 billion, which was down from $5 billion a year ago. And it looks like the company may end up being sold to FTX for just $25 million. The CEO has denied it. He has said that they're not being sold for that. But I think what he is actually saying is that they're being sold for $25 million plus the $250 revolver policy, the credit facility that FTX is providing them. So it's still unclear whether everyone who is holding assets at BlockFi will be able to get all of their money out. The reason BlockFi is pursuing something like this is like Celsius, it is completely insolvent at the moment. So let's talk about Gemini Earn. Are they in trouble as well? One thing I've never liked about Gemini and the Winklevoss twins is that they basically rode in on Bitcoin's coattails. Winklevoss twins were very smart. They took their Facebook court trial proceedings, winnings, and they invested it in Bitcoin very early on and bought something like, I'd heard 1 million Bitcoin for something like $87 million. And so it's obviously worth billions and billions and billions of dollars now. But one thing I've never liked about them is they talk a good Bitcoin game. They're already very wealthy, and yet they choose to prey on retail investors over at Gemini and sell them hopes and dreams that will never come true. Here is when Terra Luna was listed for trading at Gemini on September 17th of 2021. Here's Tyler Winklevoss promoting it. As we all know now, Luna ended up going to zero. If you're finding this video helpful so far, be sure to hit that subscribe and like button and maybe share this video with a few friends. Yeah, that would really help out the channel if you could do that. So they pushed Luna, which went to zero. They pushed SHIB. They listed it really close to the peak, I think, in November of 2021, SHIB to the moon. And also they have been pushing Dogecoin, they were offering this measly yield on Dogecoin, 2.25%. This was back when Dogecoin was something like 50 or 60 cents. It's now down to 6 or 7 cents. So the problem with these assets, and the argument I made in this video, is that even if you're earning a very high yield, if the underlying principal decays, it doesn't do you any good. If your investment's going down by 50 or 75% a year, you better be earning a much higher yield than 50 or 75% in order to stay even. So this is the background on the Winklevoss twins. Unfortunately, in spite of their love for Bitcoin, and they obviously understand Bitcoin quite well, they've decided to set up a casino where they sell retail investors garbage. And I think we have to view Gemini Earn in this context. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to dig down in the Gemini Earn program terms and authorization agreement. This is what you agree to when you deposit your crypto assets, your cryptocurrency into Gemini Earn. So what a lot of people don't realize, they just assume that Gemini Earn is just like a bank or a savings account or a CD where you can earn an enhanced yield. But instead what they are, Gemini is really just the intermediary. They take your crypto assets and they lend them out. Then they take a cut of that yield. So this is the risk of the program from Gemini's own website. Your available digital assets will leave our custody, and you accept the risk of loss associated with loan transactions up to and including total loss of your available digital assets. We are not a depository institution. We're not a bank. In other words, loans made through our program may not be secured. As a lender, you understand that you have exposure to borrower credit risk. Transactions in digital assets may carry added risk compared to lending of other types of assets because in many cases these are irreversible. So this is the big risk here. Basically, you are having your assets lent out, and when they leave Gemini basically loses all responsibility for them. They need to, they say that they'll try to get them back if they need to, but they also say that you need to be prepared to accept total loss of anything you deposit there in Gemini Earn. So this is where the big problem is, and this is where the smoking gun is. If you scroll down here, and what we're going to do in the next tab is scroll down all the way to the bottom of the same agreement, we can see that under Schedule A, their main approved borrower, in other words, they don't even list any other borrowers. So basically, Gemini takes your money, they deposit it with this borrower. This borrower does magical things with it, and then sends a yield back to Gemini, and you get some percentage of that. And they hopefully send back your original cryptocurrency or original crypto asset as well. But the reason this has become quite scary is that Genesis Global Capital, which is this company, they have these different divisions of trading, lending, and custody divisions, but this whole company is in trouble. They're facing hundreds of millions of dollars worth of losses because they took the money and invested in this hedge fund, Three Arrows Capital, as well as Babel Finance, both of which are insolvent. I believe Three Arrows was in the process of being liquidated yesterday. So it looks like Genesis has suffered a 9-figure loss, in other words, in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So again, the path is this. You deposit your money into Gemini Earn. Gemini gives it to Genesis, or at least they used to give it to Genesis, and then Genesis gave it to Three Arrows Capital and gave it to Babel Finance, both of which have blown up. So there's a very good chance that Genesis is not going to be able to repay everything that they owe to that they owe to Gemini Earn, simply because they have lost it. They gave it to Three Arrows Capital. Three Arrows Capital lost it. So Genesis can't get it back to give it back to you and the guys at Gemini Earn. We will see what happens here. Genesis itself is owned by Barry Silbert's Digital Currency Group, which is a big company that's obviously dealing with a lot of stresses in the crypto market simultaneously. So the question is, will Digital Currency Group, DCG, bail out Genesis if needed? Maybe, unless they have too many problems of their own at all of their other portfolio companies, and there are quite a few of them. The real question is, does Barry Silbert ultimately really care if you lose money over at Gemini Earn? Probably not. He might have bigger problems to worry about, and there may not be enough money to make anyone whole in the wake of Three Arrows Capital blowing up. Will the Winklevoss twins make you whole at Gemini Earn? Well, to answer that, we only need to look at the borrower default paragraph in the same agreement. We do not insure, indemnify, or otherwise guarantee the return of your digital assets that have been loaned to a borrower. In other words, if Gemini Earn gives your cryptocurrency to Genesis Capital Trading and they give it to Three Arrows Capital and they lose it, Gemini Earn has no responsibility to guarantee the return of those assets. And you alone bear the risk of loss of your loan digital assets principal should a borrower default. In other words, if Genesis defaults, you're going to be in trouble. Your remedies in the event of a borrower default will be determined by the applicable loan agreement. These remedies may be limited or in some cases unavailable. Then they go on to say, we shall be entitled to exercise any rights and remedies under the loan agreement on your behalf and will be fully protected in acting in any manner that we deem reasonable and appropriate. So you have to accept the way they try to recover your funds for you. If the borrower does not return the loan digital assets, it may not be possible to recover the assets from the borrower, and we shall have no obligation to pursue such recovery on your behalf. In other words, the Winklevoss twins and Gemini itself have no obligation to try to make you whole. So this is the problem. This may be the last one of the last dominoes to fall. Gemini has so far seems to have avoided a lot of these problems, but it remains to be seen. And if you're holding your assets, needless to say, if you're holding your assets at any of these places, if you're holding your Bitcoin at any of these places, and I don't want to single out Gemini Earn because there's just so many, you shouldn't be holding your assets on Coinbase or Kraken either. Basically, not your keys, not your coins. Centralized custodians, exchanges, lending companies like Gemini Earn or BlockFi or Celsius are the worst place in the world to store your Bitcoin. And you're really giving up financial self-sovereignty if you do this, and you're risking 100% loss of your Bitcoin in order to make 1 or 2% on it, which I don't think is a very good risk reward for a trade. If you want to learn more about how to hold your own keys, how to store Bitcoin and not have to trust others to store them for you, you can watch these 2 videos, which I'll link to below. The best ways to store small and medium amounts of Bitcoin, and the best ways to store large amounts of Bitcoin. If you want to access the description notes, it's a little tricky these days. They've changed the formatting. You just go down here and click Open Description, and then it opens up in the right-hand panel here. And if you scroll down, you'll see all the links from this video today. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that subscribe and like button. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.